ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासा ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिके। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, text number 47. Parimanam cha kalasya kalpalakshana vigraham yatha purastad tvayakhyasye padmam kalpatho shrunu. Parimanam cha kalasya kalpalakshana vigraham यथा पुरस्तात् त्वयाख्यासे पाद्मं कल्पमथो शृणु. परिमाणं च कालस्य कल्पलक्षणविग्रहम् यथा पुरस्त्वयाख्यासे पाद्मं कल्पमथो शृणु. परिमाणम measurement, cha also, kalasya of time, kalpa a day of Brahma, lakshana symptoms, vigraha form, yatha as much as, purastat hereafter, vyakhyase shall be explained, padmam by the name Padma, kalpam the duration of day, atho thus, shrunu just here. Translation and purport by His Loving Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. O King, I shall in due course explain the measurement of a time in its gross and subtle feature, with specific symptoms of each. But for the present, let me explain unto you the Padma Kalpa. The present duration of a kalpa of Brahma is called Varaha Kalpa or Shveta Varaha Kalpa, because the incarnation of Lord as a Varaha took place during the creation of Brahma, who was born on the lotus coming out of the abdomen of Vishnu. Therefore, this Varaha Kalpa is also called Padma Kalpa, and this is testified by Acharyas like Shiva Goswami as well as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in pursuance of the first commentator, Swami Sridhar. So there is no contradiction between the Varaha and the Padma Kalpa of Brahma. Shaunaka uvacha yadahano bhavan sutta kshatta bhagavotamaha Chachara tirthani bhuvastyatva bandhun sudasya tyajan. Shaunaka Rishi, after hearing all about the creation, inquired from Suta Goswami about Vidura. For Suta Goswami had previously informed him how Vidura left home, leaving aside all his relatives who were very difficult to live. Here, Vidura is called as a Bhagavattama, the topmost devotees amongst the Lord. Kshatta Bhagavottama. So we can understand that after explaining the whole creation, the great sages who assembled at Naimisharanya, Shaunakas, etc., they are asking Suta Goswami that now please tell us about what happened to that particular person. Kshatta Bhagavattama, the greatest among the Lord's devotees, Vidura. Because previously, in first canto, we have seen that there are description about different stories, like Narada's previous life. Then there's explanation about how Pandavas, they left this earthly planet. Then what the result of Kurukshetra war, how Bhishma has left his body, how Mother Kunti has offered her prayers to the Lord, and Lord came back to Hastinapur. Then Pandavas, they started ruling the kingdom. And then Vidura came to Dhritarashtra and asked him, what you are doing? You are living like a dog who is too attached to his possessions. Leave this now and let's go for forest. And then Vidura left home. Then here they are asking, please tell us what has happened to him. And this is how the whole epic of Srimad Bhagavatam about the different topics will start. From here onward, we will hear about the wonderful pastimes of their Lordship with his devotee in different yugas. So here, in the next two verses, it is explained, Kshattu kausharavestasya samvadodhyatma samshrita yadvasa bhagavans tasmai drushtos tattvamuvachaha bruhinastadiram saumya vidurasya vicheshtitam bandhutyagan nimittam cha yathaivavagatavan puna. Actually, when Vidura left the Hastinapur, he traveled everywhere. And he came at Prabhasa Kshetra, where he met Maitreya Rishi. And Shaunaka Rishi is saying here, let us know, please, what topics were discussed between the Vidura and Maitreya, who talked on the transcendental subjects, and what was inquired by Vidura and replied by Maitreya. So also let us know the reason of Vidura's giving up the connection of his family members, and why he again came home. Please also let us know the activities of Vidura while he was in the places of pilgrimage. Purport. Sri Sutta Goswami was narrating the topics of the creation and destruction of the material world. But it appears the rishi headed by Shaunaka were more inclined to hear transcendental subjects, which are on a higher level than the physical. There are two classes of men, namely those who are addicted to the gross body and the material world, and others on the higher level, who are interested more in transcendental knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam gives facility to everyone, both to the materialist and to the transcendentalist. By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam in the matter of Lord's glorious activities, both in the material and in the transcendental world, men can derive equal benefit. The materialists are more interested in the physical laws and how they are acting, and they see wonders in those physical glamours. Sometimes due to the physical glamours, they forget the glories of the Lord. They should know definitely that physical activities and their wonders are all initiated by the Lord. The rose in the garden gradually takes its shape and color to become beautiful and sweet, not by a blind physical law, although it appears like that. Behind that physical law in the direction of the complete consciousness of the Supreme Lord, otherwise things cannot take shape so systematically. The artist draws a picture of a rose very nicely with all attention and artistic senses, and yet it does not become as perfect as a real rose. If that is the real fact, how can we say that the real rose has taken its shape without intelligence behind the beauty? This sort of a conclusion is due to poor fundamental knowledge. One must know from the above description of a creation and the annihilation that the Supreme Consciousness, being omnipresent, can take care of everything with a perfect attention. That is the fact of the omnipresence of the Supreme Lord. Persons still more foolish than the gross materialists, however, claim to be transcendentalists and claim to have such a supreme all-pervading consciousness, but offer no proof. Such foolish persons cannot know what is going on behind the next wall. Yet they are falsely proud of possessing the cosmic, all-pervading consciousness of the Supreme Person. For them also, hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is a great help. It will open their eyes to see that simply by chanting simply by claiming supreme consciousness, one does not become supremely conscious. One has to prove the physical world that he has such a supreme consciousness. The rishis of Naimisharanya, however, were above the gross materialist and the false transcendentalist, and thus they were always anxious to know the real truth in transcendental matters as discussed by the authority. Sutovacha Radnya Parikshita Prushto Yadovachan Mahamunihi Tadvo Abhidhasya Shranat Radnya Prashnanusarataha. Sri Sutta Goswami explained, I shall now explain to you the very subject subjects explained by the great sage in answer to King Parikshit's inquiries. Please hear them attentively. Any question that is put forward may answered by quoting the authority, and that satisfy the Senner section. That is the system even in the law court. The best lawyer gives evidence from the past judgment of the court without taking much trouble to establish his case. This is called the parampara system, and learned authorities follow it without manufacturing rubbish interpretation. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Nadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. Let us all obey Supreme Lord, whose hand in is everything, without exception. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the second canto, 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Bhagavatam is the answer of all questions. And that's the end of this second canto. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yudhapadakamalam Shri Guruna Vaishnavancha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunat Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Varjana Sayitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Namo Krishna Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nidinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here, now Sutta Goswami is telling that he is going to explain about Padma Kalpa. Brahma's each day is named by one particular title. And this day, the present day, is called as a Varaha Kalpa, especially Shweta Varaha Kalpa. So whenever we do this Sankalpa, then we pronounce that. Adya Brahmano Dvitiya Parardhe Shri Shweta Varaha Kalpe. Means Lord Varaha, Shweta Varaha, he appeared on this day of Brahma's creation. So this Kalpa is known as a Varaha Kalpa. And Brahmaji appeared from the navel of Lords. That's why, and he appeared in the lotus, which was sprouted from the navel of the Lord. And that's why this Kalpa is also known as a Padma Kalpa. And Prabhupada says it is testified by great acharyas like Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and the first commentator of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sridhar Maharaj or Sridhar Swami. Then further, this great rishis in Shaunak, in Naimisharanya, they are now asking about, okay, enough of this creation matter. We have heard it, but now we wanted to know about the person who is behind that and his activities with his transcendental devotees. And here they are asking about whom? Not directly about any renounced person who was staying in the forest, but they are asking about the Vidura. And they call him as a Bhagavottama, means who is best among the Lord's devotees. And why they would like to hear about the activities of the Lord? Because it is always considered, if there is a beauty, there must be an intelligence behind that who has created. And Prabhupada gives a wonderful example, like one of the artists, He may draw a beautiful flower, he may color it, but still it is not exactly 100% as a real. To draw artificial, you need to have an intelligent and artistic person. Then what to speak of this real thing, what we are seeing all around? Are they created just by bang? This foolish rascal who claim themselves as a scientist modern days. They claim that this world has manifested just by bang. They have that Big Bang theory. If something would have been created by bang, then in 1946 and 45, when there was a really big bang, when the Americans, they put nuclear bombs on Japan, do you think that something has created there? Whatever was there, that got destroyed. But in the schools, they are teaching this philosophy about Big Bang theory. There were two chunks, they come together, they collide, there was a Big Bang, and everything manifested. So why they are wasting so much money in NASA then? They should create, as they are already bombing in Saudi and other places, why nothing is created there? This is the futility of modern knowledge. However, you may have learned, but after getting degree, maybe MS or maybe PhDs, take that role of your certificate and you have to really roll around for the search of job. And after that, after getting degree, you have to think, what I have to do now? What sort of a knowledge you got that you don't know that what you have to do after that? And that's why here they say, Shunu, hear properly, attentively. That's what we don't do in our academic knowledge. We don't hear, we just rat it. Just by heart the things, put it on, scribe it on the paper, submit that, get another paper which has some denominations, which shows that you are most intellectual person and you are qualified to do nothing. But the real essence of life, to understand that who are you? Who has created everything? And how we have to come out of this. And that whole thing is explained actually in Srimad Bhagavatam. And that's why here, Sutta Goswami, in answer to their question that what has happened to Vidura and why he has come back and what are the conversation between Maitreya Rishi and Vidura, what they talk about. Because that was really more interesting. That will clarify and nurture the consciousness of a conditioned living entity. And here it ends the second canto by the inquiry about inquiry by the Sutta Goswami, Shaunakadi Rishis to Sutta Goswami. And that's the impetus for Shaunaka to answer and to speak about the wonderful pastimes of the Lord. And here Prabhupada in this purport he writes, that's the way of accepting the spiritual knowledge. And here when Sutta Goswami speaks, he says that, okay, I will tell you now, because Maharaj Parikshit also asked the same question to Shukadeva Goswami and he narrated. So here we can see the link between the authorities. A proper representative of the disciplic succession, because they always come up with the evidences and facts that has established by the previous acharyas. And here again, Shaunaka Rishi is starting his conversation with explaining the conversation between Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So let's see the summary of this second canto. All this 9 chapter, all this 10 chapter of second canto, what we have. Should I use one learned or should I say just use got information? Huh? Kya? गुणतीर्थवादी मतलब गुणातीतवादी। अच्छा, यानी भगवान जो गुणों से परे है उनके लिए, भगवान के जो भक्त है उनको कहा है। So the first chapter of this canto, it explains about the God realization. What is the first step of a God realization? How to realize the Supreme Personality of a God? Because generally people, they accept the mechanical ways to control the mind by doing pranayam and other things. And the highest perfection of a human life is meditating on the Supreme Personality of a Godhead. And how to do that, that has explained in this first chapter of the second canto. Then there is a description about the Lord in the heart, and as well as for them who can't perceive the Lord as a person, how they can see their Lordship in Vishwarupa, or his manifestation as a universal form. That has also explained in this first chapter. Then the second chapter, like the first chapter, is meant for those who does not see Lord as a person. So for them, through the gross material elements, they have established the universal form, and that has shown to them. This is what, that's what said, that Virat avidushaha. There are foolish people, they don't understand the direct personal form of the Lord. For them, Lord has manifested this Virat Purusha Rupa, and that has explained in the first chapter. And the second one, which explains about the presence of super soul in our heart as a Paramatma, and how to realize that. Unless and until you get knowledge through the disciplic succession, you will not realize that. And that emphasis has given in this chapter of second canto. Then the third one, which gives the process through which we can really connect with the Supreme Personality of a God, and that is pure devotional service. So here we can see, as explained in the first canto, that Vidanti Tattvas Tattvavidam Tattvam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabdati. कहाँ पे हैं आप? सोच रहे हैं? हाँ? क्या बोल रहा था मैं अभी तक? यहाँ पे रहो, सिडनी छोड़ दिया आपने अभी, यहाँ ध्यान दो. And this chapter actually explains about the symptoms of change in our heart. What generally happens when devotional service we perform, how our heart get changed. Then in the fourth chapter, the process of creation has explained, how Vedas they have appeared, how this material world is nothing but a deep dark well, and especially the household life. That has explained here. Then it speaks about the hearing and glorifying and remembering the Lord. And here actually Parikshit Maharaj has offered prayers to Shukadeva Goswami. Because unless and until you pray to the lotus feet of their Lordship and his pure devotees, it's not possible to get revealed the essence of Vedic knowledge. And even Shukadeva Goswami also offers prayers to their Lordship. And there he says, Nama parasmai purushaya bhuyase sadudbhavasthana nirodha leelaya grihita shakti tritaya dehinam antarbhavaya anublaksha vartmane. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of a Godhead, who, for the creation of the material world, accepts the three modes of nature. He is the complete whole residing within the body of everyone, and his way are inconceivable. See, there in this first verse itself, he has explained that how Lord and his activities are inconceivable, because he is beyond the material conception of our life. And Lord Krishna is the supreme in all in all. Unless and until one understands this, it's very difficult. And then Shukadeva Goswami says, Shriyapatir Yajnapati Prajapatir Dhiyampatir Lokapatir Dharapati Patir Gatishchandaka Vrishni Sattvatam Prasidatam Me Bhagavan Satampati. My Lord Sri Krishna, may Lord Sri Krishna, who is the worshipable Lord of all devotees, the protector and glory of all the kings, like Andhaka and Vrishnis of Yadu dynasty, the husband of all goddesses of fortune, the director of all the sacrifices and therefore the leader of all living entities, the controller of all intelligence, the proprietor of all planets, spiritual and material, and the supreme incarnation on the earth, the supreme all in all. Be merciful upon me. So here we see how wonderfully that Shukadeva Goswami has explained about the greatness of their Lordship. And unless and until one becomes humble, it becomes difficult to know their Lordship. And here it is explained that how this knowledge was revealed to Brahmaji. Rachoditanyena pura saraswati vitanvatajya satim smritim vridihi swalakshana pradurbhuto kilasyataha samerushinam rushabha prasidatam. May the Lord, who is the beginning of the creation, amplified the potent knowledge of Brahma from within his heart and inspired him with the full knowledge of a creation and of his own self, and who appeared to be generated from the mouth of Brahma, be pleased with me. So these prayers offered by Shukadeva Goswami explains about the whole creation itself, that how everything is manifest. And here, how the Vedic knowledge has manifested in this material world, first time that has explained, that it has manifested in the heart of Brahma. How? By the mercy of Lord. It's not that Brahma performed tapasya and then he got this knowledge. No, Lord has revealed it in his heart. And then how in the 5th chapter it has explained how the Lord is cause of all causes. How is the Narayana is the ultimate destination. And how the living entity gets entangled in this material world with a self-centered false ego. Then whole the mechanism of this body, that has also explained in this chapter. Then about the Virata Purusha of the Lord, then breathing of Mahavishnu, then 4 divisions of the societies, and ultimately the planetary system, how it works, that has described in this 5th chapter. And then comes the 6th chapter, where the Purusha Sukta, the prayers which are offered to glorify the Virata Purusha Rupa of the Lord, and which gives total explanation about the manifestation. That has explained in this 6th chapter. Then in the 7th, the scheduled incarnations with the specific function, that has explained. How the gigantic boar incarnation has come, who is Lord Kapila, why these 4 Kumaras, they came into existence. Then how Maharaj Dhruva, he attended the Lordship. Then how Lord appeared as a Rishabdev. Then why Hayagriva came here. There is an explanation about the Matsya Avatar, then Kurma Avatar, Narasimha Avatar. And why it's necessary to chant the holy name of Lord, that is explained here in this chapter actually. The Lord's holy name is called Shravana Mangal. This means that one receives everything auspicious simply by hearing the holy name. In another place, Srimad Bhagavatam, his holy name is described as a Punya Shravana Kirtanaha. It is a pious act simply to chant and hear all about the Lord. The Lord descends on the earth and acts like others in connection with the activities of the world, just to create subject matters for hearing about Him. Otherwise, the Lord has nothing to do in this world, nor has He any obligation to do anything. He comes out of His own causeless mercy and acts as He desires. And the Vedas and Puranas are full of the description of His different activities, so that people in general may naturally be eager to hear and read something about His activities. And that's the glory of hearing about the Lord. Further, it is said that Shutva Haristat Ramani Arthanat Prameya Chakra Yuda Patagajaraja Adivita Chakrena Nakram Vadanam Vinipatya Tasmat Praghriya Bhagavan Krupayo Anjahara. Then he explains about how Lord wonderfully appeared as a Hari on the shoulders of a Garuda to save the Gajendra. The personality of a Godhead, after hearing the elephant's plea, felt that the elephant needed his immediate help, for he was in a great distress. Thus at once the Lord appeared there on the wings of the king of birds, Garuda, fully equipped with his weapon, the will chakra. With the will, he cut to pieces the mouth of crocodile to save the elephant, and he delivered the elephant by lifting trunk. So like that, other incarnations like Bali, then Manvantara, Hansa, Vamana, Dhanvantari, Parshurama, and summarized Ramayana also has explained in this chapter 7. Then how Putana, which got killed, and venomous Kaliya got chastised. How Lord has lifted golden hill, and how many demons they attended salvation in Krishna Leela. That has also explained. Then there is explanation about the Kalki, who is the supreme chastiser. And then powers of Vishnu and how one should surrender to the Lord. And at the last, it is explained about Srimad Bhagavatam in nutshell. Idam bhagavato nama yanme bhagavotoditam sangrahoyam vibhutinam tvameta vipuli kuru. Where Brahmaji is explaining that the most essential thing that one has to do as being a Vaishnava. O Narada, this science of a God, Srimad Bhagavatam, was spoken to me in a summary by the Supreme Personality of a Godhead. And it was spoken as accumulation of his diverse potencies. Please expand this science yourself. And Prabhupada in this purport, he says, Bhagavatam, in a nutshell, spoken by the Supreme Personality of a Godhead in about a half a dozen verses, which will appear ahead, is the essence of God, is the science of God, and it is the potent representation of the personality of a Godhead. He, being absolute, is non-different from the science of God. Srimad Bhagavatam, Brahmaji receives this science of Godhead from the Lord directly, and he handed over the same to Narada, who in his turn ordered Srila Vyasadeva to expand it. So the transcendental knowledge of the Supreme Lord is not a mental speculation by the mundane wranglers, but is uncontaminated, eternal, perfect knowledge beyond the jurisdictions of material modes. The Bhagavad Puran is therefore the direct incarnation of the Godhead in the form of a transcendental sound, and one should receive this transcendental knowledge from the bona fide representative of the Lord in the chain of a disciplic succession from the Lord to Brahmaji, from Brahmaji to Narad, from Narada to Vyasa, from Vyasadev to Shukadeva Goswami, and from Shukadeva Goswami to Sutta Goswami. The ripened fruit of the Vedic tree dropped from one hand to other without being broken by the falling suddenly from the high branch down to the earth. Therefore, unless one hears the science of Godhead from the bona fide representative of the disciplic succession, as above mentioned, for one to understand theme of the science of Godhead will be difficult job. It should never be heard from the professional Bhagavatam reciters who earn their livelihood by gratifying the senses of audience. And then in next chapter, which is 8, where Parikshit Maharaj has asked questions to Sutta Goswami. He is asking about the karma, he is asking about the yoga, he is asking about how to develop faith in Lord. And at the end, Shukadeva Goswami explains that how one should hear Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the Vishnu Rathas. Vishnu Rathas means people who worship Lord Vishnu, Vishnu Ratha, who are always engaged in hearing about the Lord. Praha Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Brahmane Bhagavat Proktam Brahma Kalpa Upagate. Sorry. Name Swaparayanti Brahmanashanadhanimito Pibato Achyutam Piyusham Tadvakyam Abdi Vinismritam. O learned Brahmana, because of by drinking the nectar of the message of infallible personality of a Godhead, which is a flowing down from the ocean of your speeches, I do not fill or not that. Sutta Goswami watch. Sopamantrito Radnya Kathayamiti Tat Satpate Brahmarato Bhrisham Prito Vishnurate Samsadi. Sutta Goswami said, thus Shukadeva Goswami being invited by Maharaj Parikshit to speak on the topics of the Lord Sri Krishna with the devotees was very much pleased. Here they have word Brahmarata to Shukadeva Goswami, and Vishnu Rata to Parikshit Maharaj. So it is clear also in this connection that the Vishnurat should hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Brahmarat and no one else, because other misrepresent their transcendental knowledge and thus spoil one's valuable time. So from whom one should hear about Srimad Bhagavatam? Not from the professional reciters, who for the satisfaction of their Yajaman, they do their Bhagavad Katha. And in such a way that sometimes they use some Bollywood songs on that reams. They sing some bhajans also, which are not even written by devotees, which are written by some mundane wrangler just to please their ears. So if you hear Srimad Bhagavatam from such a professional reciters, that will not create impact on your heart. So the Vishnu Rathas who are really interested in the progress in their devotional service, they should hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Brahmarat, like a Shukadeva Goswami, the person who is renounced and whose only object is Lord Krishna. One should hear Srimad Bhagavatam from them. Then Shukadeva Goswami started giving answers to Parikshit Maharaj's question, what he has asked in the 8th chapter. He gives clear idea about the different stages of understanding about Krishna. And one should understand Krishna through penance, through austerities. And then he has explained about the qualities of the people who can understand the Lord, how they are paramansas. And what is that who created in this world? Then what is the cream of Srimad Bhagavatam? The cream of Srimad Bhagavatam is explained here as attaining the shelter of their Lordship, or nothing but the pure devotional service rendered to their Lordship. Adoption of the transcendental devotional service of the Lord has no limit, nor is there fear of a falling down. The process automatically reaches the final stage by the grace of the Lord. In the preliminary stage of a devotional service, there is an apparent requisite of knowledge. But in the higher stage, there is no necessity of such a knowledge. The best and guaranteed path of progress is therefore engagement in the Bhakti Yoga, the pure devotional service. The cream of Srimad Bhagavatam in the foregoing 4 shlokas, sometimes squeezed out by the impersonalists for interpretation in their favor, but it should be carefully noted that 4 shlokas were first described by the personality of a Godhead himself, and thus the impersonalist has no scope to enter into them, because he has no conception about the personality of a Godhead. And this chapter 9, text number 33, 34, 35 and 36, that is known as a Chatushloki Bhagavat. These are the 4 shloka in a nutshell the whole Srimad Bhagavatam has explained. And then Brahmaji has narrated that epic to Shukadeva Goswami, to Devarshi Narad. And then in the 10th chapter, as we have seen, the creation part as explained by Shukadeva Goswami, by Brahmaji to Devarshi Narad. And then after this explanation, how the Lord is a person, and the pure devotees has always interest to hear about the Lord and his activities, Because these are the activities which are going to liberate you, going to purify you, and take you back to God. And that's why it is said the Vishnu Rathas should hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Brahma Rathas, a person like a Shukadeva Goswami, whose chief object of worship is none other than Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki